7:40. Sorry we're late. We were in executive session and ran a little bit later than I expected. Please shut off any cell phones or stuff that would, any item that will interfere with the meeting and the recording of the meeting. Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Law 1975, Chapter 230. Said notice was provided to the Trenton Times and the Windsor Heights Herald. It's posted in the Borough Clerk's office. May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Blythe? Here. Ms. Hanson? Here. Mr. Mazzara?
Here.
Mr. Moffat?
Here.
Mr. Musing?
Here.
Mr. Stoltz is not present. Mayor Patrone?
I am here. Like I said, we were in executive session. Everybody please rise to the flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Council, we have an agenda in front of us. I'm looking for an approval agenda, and I'm going to give you a heads up that ordinance 2018-16 probably be tabled. The attorney has asked to table it for the further paperwork. So we'll probably table that when it comes time. But does anybody else have any change to the agenda or amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, I'd like an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Montferrat, second by Councilwoman Hanson. May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Blythe? Yes. Ms. Hanson? Yes. Mr. Mazzara?
Yes.
Mr. Moffat?
Yes.
Yes. So carried 5-0, right? We have minutes in front of you. August the 29th, 2018, our special meeting executive session. Looking for a motion to accept those as presented. Moved by Councilwoman Luke and seconded by Councilman Muse. Any questions?
Yeah, just one thing. I was trying, I emailed the clerk's office to see
I
if they
didn't
could
know
add.
that.
Okay.
In the executive, you are in there as a right, it says you should arrive during that meeting. Minutes you were looking at in the public, which just basically says, you come out of public, it says you arrive during the executive. That's all.
Have a roll call.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe? Yes. Ms. Hanson? Yes. Mr. Mazzara? Mr. Moffat?
Yes.
4 yeses, 1 abstention. August the 29th, 2018, special meeting, public session. Looking for a motion to accept minutes as presented. Moved by Councilwoman Luke, second by Councilwoman Hanson. May I have a roll call?
Mr. Moffat?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe? Yes. Ms. Hanson? Yes. Mr. Mazzara?
So we have 3 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention, right? You said yes, I'm sorry, it's 4-0, 4-1-0. I apologize. All right, public comment number 1. Any person wishing to address the mayor and council regarding matters on the agenda will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes for his or her comments. Please come forward, give your name and address clearly because we are recording on the small microphones here, these here. These are only to amplify your voice, but this is what we're recording on. Please come forward.
Keith Freebos, 213 Greeley Street, Hightstown. I'm the chair of the Hightstown Environmental
That's
Commission.
why mic work. Check, please.
I could turn it on, just check.
Hello, hello.
Right up close to your face, please.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
How about I just speak loud?
That's it.
I'm here, I want to comment on the ordinance 2018-18 that's going for first reading tonight. I understand we're going to be purchasing our annual police car. Interesting fact, did you know that 60% of a police car's life is spent idling? Running traffic, radar, things like that. It's a perfect vehicle to go with a hybrid vehicle or an all-electric vehicle. Right now, across the country, there are several police forces that are using hybrid vehicles and all-electric vehicles. There's choices also. I know the police department right now is going for SUVs. If you wanted a regular cruiser-type vehicle, you can get a Ford, has a police responder hybrid sedan, or Hightstown, Maryland is right now replacing their entire police force with Chevy Volt electric police cruisers. They are a little bit more expensive. Oh, and the other choice, Ford makes in a SUV, a police hybrid Interceptor SUV. The initial cost, yes, they are a few dollars more. You would have to put in a charging station. But the average hybrid police vehicle will save over 1,000 gallons of gasoline per year. At whatever cost we're paying for that. It's an idea, it's something we ought to at least look into and at least consider whenever we're buying new vehicles for the borough. Especially for a vehicle we know is going to be idling more than 60% of the time. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete. And I know exactly where you're coming from with that. I see New York City uses a lot of hybrid taxi vehicles today. And, you know, all that has to be figured in the cost of the electricity and all that. We will definitely.
The cat came back, couldn't stay away.
Welcome back, Chief.
Thank you all for being so kind words when I was away. When I went through my 8th life as a cat, I got one more, which is nice. I want to just second the presentation made by Mr. Provost. Am I in the right?
Prevost.
What?
Prevost.
Prevost, right, Prevost, I get that spelled right, Prevost. Yeah, it would, 2,000 gallons of gasoline is a lot of money, for 1,000 gallons, a minimum $2,000 minimum. And I really think that you were smart enough to buy that fantastic recycling system we have now, and that cost a few bucks, but it saves us a fortune. Now I think we might want to do the same when it comes to police cars, because the initial outlay would be higher, but the benefits would just be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Nice to hear your voice again.
Doug Mayer, 536 South Main Street. Welcome back, Chief.
Thank you.
I have two items tonight. One is the Water Act. The Water Act was passed July of 2017, and it went into effect October of 2017. So why are we just now coming into compliance? None? Okay. Items such as fire hydrant checks should also already be covered by the fire department for testing. So why would Roberts Engineering need up to $32,000 to complete a management plan that should already be in existence by at least 85%? Nothing? Okay. We'll move on to the second one. I'm concerned about the borough's compliance with Safe Routes to School program grant. On November 6, 2017, you amended Bond Ordinance 2015-15 for $132,000 for sidewalks and curbs on Stockton and Joseph, thereby adding to the already $430,000, bringing the total to $562,000. Now, if the $132,000 addition was for sidewalks and curbs as stated in the bond ordinance, then where was the $275,000 in grant money used? Nothing? Okay. According to the Safe Route to Schools grant, that money can only be used for sidewalks and curbs. I've seen the work that has been performed on Joseph and Stockton so far, and I have to tell you, it doesn't look anywhere near the amount of the money that was bonded, let alone the money granted. So I'm wondering, can you tell me, is the project done? Is the project still ongoing? Out of all the questions that I asked tonight, can I get at least one of them answered?
The grant has not even been approved yet. The grant funds have, the design is not even at DOT. The work you're seeing out there is work that's being done now to protect our students when the school year starts, because DOT has been dragging their feet on approval of the design. The work up there, the grant hasn't even touched that area.
So the work that's been done right now that I see right now, when the grant does get approved, obviously all that that's been done is now going to be ripped up and redone
It's
again?
temporary. The temporary, the ramps are temporary.
How much
The
did that-
county's painting the crosswalk, the county's posting the sign. We moved the crosswalk for obvious reasons.
No, I understand, it makes perfect sense.
But none of the grant funds have been spent on that project, other than engineering fees, which were added to the ordinance as you noted.
Right.
But we have signed up for the design assistance program, so we're using DOT's engineer so that they reimburse us those funds for the design.
That makes perfect sense. The only problem that I have is anything that taxpayer money is spent on temporary, so I'd like to know how much money was spent to do that temporary that's going to now be ripped up and redone again. And the last thing, since my time's up, the last thing I'm curious about, it's my understanding that grants such as those are only good for 2 years. Now, if I read correctly, the grant was passed in 2015, we're at 2018, the grant you just said hasn't been passed, so wouldn't the grant have to be reapplied for all over again?
The reason that the design has not been approved, we just got approval for the second engineering phase of that design. So that's just starting, and then DOT has to approve it, then we have to go to bid. It's an entire process.
Yeah, no, I get that, the last
So,
thing.
no, the funds are there, the grant has been awarded, none of the money has been spent other than engineering fees that we had to do for DOT.
So you're not required to spend that money within the 2 years that the grant requires you to spend it? in a
No, we're
state?
still going through the process.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much for letting me know that.
All Scott's tied up, I'll step up. JP Gibbons, 602 North Main Street. Just a couple of quick things here off the agenda. Item number one is my concern with regards to the Safe Routes to School program. I noticed in here the Dutch Neck and Stockton Street to the Borough line. My concern always has been, what the hell? Kids reach the school line with respect towards East Windsor and they're no longer safe? They don't have to be safe? I don't understand why we, surrounded by East Windsor, cannot, in point of fact, get them to assist us in protecting their own kids.
Can I answer again?
Yeah, you can answer that
Please.
too.
We approached East Windsor, they are applying for the grant. Our
Awesome.
responsibility is Hightstown, theirs is East Windsor.
Outstanding.
We worked with them, I contacted them, and she is applying for the grant.
Outstanding, because I know 2 other grants we were applied, they said no to, which is fantastic.
All we
I
can
think
do
the
is ask, we
resolution,
can't
that's
make them
fine.
apply.
The resolution language could be clearer by basically saying to ours, a grant needs to be applied to, so the public doesn't have to ask questions. It's just a community, it's
That
fine.
was just,
It's your resolution, I got it.
it's a support, and we'll be getting one from them supporting our grant application
Fantastic.
as well.
The last one that I had, because I had several, but my time just about to be over, was, I was curious about 2 charges on the bills. Number one was West Windsor Health Interlock for $7,500 basically. I didn't know if that was a monthly, a quarterly, an annual, I don't know. I'm ignorant about it, so I come to the council to get
That's
advice.
Quarterly, yeah.
Health department.
So that's $30,000. Is it for a nurse or is it for health
Shared
services?
services, health department.
Health department?
We have a health officer, we have a user
Board of Health.
inspector.
So it's a board of health. Okay.
No, health department,
They're our health department for
Yes.
$30,000 a year.
yes.
Okay, that sounds good. And the other one was the $60,000 we're paying to Township of Robbinsville, $15,000 in the current budget for the quarter. I'm assuming, is that for the court only, or is that something other than the court?
We have several shared services, we have EMS, we have vehicle repairs. Maintenance on the police vehicles. We have the court and
And the use of the police station.
and use of their police station, so it could cover any number of those
I believe that's
shared
court.
services.
It's court only?
That's court.
Okay. So it's $60,000 for the court, and then the rest of these are covered by a different contract of some sort, dollars and cents.
Sure.
Thank you kindly. Appreciate it.
Scott Kester, 1208. You pulled the ordinance regarding bicycles,
We're probably gonna table that by request.
but it's still on the agenda.
It's still on the agenda, yeah.
We still talk about it.
You can speak about it if you like.
I'm just
We're
trying to
gonna
get
have
this
to
right.
open that public hearing, are we not?
Not the council needs to table it tonight. The public hearing will be tabled to the next week.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you can talk.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. And I thank you all, and I think especially Debbie for pushing it and getting it up to the speed that it is right now. Thank you. There's two things. One, I'm pretty definite about. The other one, I'm not sure about. So I need your help. I think everybody understands the spirit of why this exists, to restrict bicycles from the sidewalks. All the arteries into Hightstown, you can't ride on the sidewalks as you approach downtown Hightstown, except Rogers Avenue. Rogers Avenue is not included in that geography description of where you can't ride a bike on the sidewalks. You can ride a bike all the way to Morgan's Island Grill, but you can't ride a bike down Stockton Street, North Main, South Main, Mercer. So I was asking if you could take a look at that. I'm pretty sure that that description of where you can't ride a bike is simply copied from the existing, and the mistake was made decades ago. Number two, on the other end of the scale, the Stockton Street restriction starts all the way up at Academy Street, which I've been trying to be reasonable about this, not riding your bike on the sidewalk when I ask people to not ride their bike on the sidewalk downtown. And I tell them, listen, when you get past the stores and you get a little bit up the hill, you can get back on your bike. But to expect somebody all the way up to Academy Street to be restricted from riding their bike may be unreasonable. And I understand it's a hill, and I understand if you barrel down the hill, you can have a hard time stopping, but I don't think that was the reason Academy Street was put in there. Academy Street is the first cross street, and it was an easy mark to describe. Maybe Church Street would be a little more realistic to ask people to abide by it. And this is the thing that I said I'm not sure about, but I hope you will consider it. Thank you.
Well, like I said, the attorneys have some paperwork to do with it, some language to add to it. He's not going to take the teeth out of it.
I don't want you to take teeth out of it, but the part about Rogers Avenue, I think that's kind of silly that Rogers, from Railroad to Rogers, Railroad to Mercer on Rogers isn't part of the restriction.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to come forward and speak on public comment number one? Anything on the agenda? Closing public comment number one. We're going to go into engineering items. We have our engineer, Robert's Engineering, here tonight. Municipal aid grant 2019. This is one that I asked to come back. We had a discussion at the last meeting about different roads, and I think there were some roads, I personally felt that there were roads in town that took priority over others. So I took a ride around Borough and I checked all the roads, and asked our public works, Ms. Lewis, I think you're here. Carmela, would you please take it from here?
Sure, and I'd like to hand out a very simple map to you. So we're here tonight to try to create the strongest application you can to the DOT. Last council meeting, you asked me to prepare two applications, priority one and priority two, and number one was Springcrest Drive with sidewalk, and number two, Maxwell Avenue, adding sidewalk on both where it doesn't currently exist. I'm here to ask you to do this slightly differently. I'd like us to focus on one street only. And I want to explain background here. If and when
Demetri, can you please send that microphone down there? Carmela, please. Thank you.
When we make our recommendation to the council about what we think is your best application. I've done it for many years in consultation with Ken Lewis. And when we approach it, it's always been about the road that is in the worst condition. So I came here a few weeks ago, and consistent with reports that we've given you over the years, we recommended Bennett, Hauser, and Prospect. They're in very poor condition. Council asked us instead to do Springcrest because you want to add a sidewalk there. Now, if we were looking at road condition, Springcrest wouldn't be our first recommendation to you because the condition of the road is not so bad. However, we know you want sidewalks on that road, and that's what I'm here to talk about. So this little map in front of you is the tax map of the overall borough. The blue line is the state highway. The yellow lines are all the county roads. And the green lines are all the roads that you have improved over the years that have been paid for by DOT funds. Now, not yet filled in, we have Maple and Sunset. We're going to start that construction shortly. And you have a grant now for Lincoln, Hegemont, and Rocky Brook. So there's not much left that needs to be, that can use the DOT funding, right, and get itself up to date. So I started with the borough in 1991. Prior to me beginning, and Maxwell and Manlove had been done under the DOT, under the trust fund. And as I made my recommendations to you, they are generally in regard to the roads that haven't been paved in almost 30 years. And so the roads that remain outstanding now are the Hauser, Bennett, and Prospect. You also have from, let's see, Orchard, Schuyler, Spruce, Taylor. There really aren't very many left. Oh, Dye, and Railroad. So what I would like to suggest here, in order to give you a strong application, is to incorporate more roads with Springcrest. I would recommend to you that we apply to the DOT for Springcrest. We will get funding for the sidewalk. Then we have to do this with a road component because you can't get funding for sidewalk with any other funding source. The Safe Routes to Schools grant will only be used around elementary schools. Okay? So if you were to just ask for sidewalk on Springcrest, that's maybe $100,000 grant request from the DOT. Right? But you've been receiving hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars each year from the DOT. For Lincoln, Rocky Brook, and Hegemont, you've received $750-some thousand. DOT's been very good to the borough, and the borough's been very good about spending that grant money when it comes in. So I would like to see you ask for Springcrest, and we're going to have to ask for it to be milled and overlaid, to add in the sidewalk, and in addition, I'd like you to create a small road program out of this. I'd like to also include Spruce Court, that little Glen Road, that little thing, on Springcrest, and Taylor Avenue. Those other three roads are orphan roads, essentially. They don't have much benefit in the DOT's ratings individually, because very few people live on those roads. DOT would consider them glorified driveways. But if we approach this the way we approach Park and Grant and Greeley and Hutchinson and Hegemont, you got a lot of money for those roads also. So I think the best way to maximize the use of that DOT trust fund and the grant money you get every year, plus get the sidewalk that you'd like to have on Springcrest, is to modify your application to incorporate these three other smaller roads in the area. Okay? That's what we're here to talk about tonight. Ken, would you like to add anything?
I just agree with Carmella. To do sprinklers alone for just sidewalks doesn't make much logical sense of your money. Going just do sprinklers, and with spruce work, it's horrible. You know, I'd also like to see Hauser Bennett Prospect. They also don't want sidewalks.
Well, I do have a comment regarding Hauser Bennett and Prospect. I agree with Ken, they're in dreadful condition. I don't know if you do or you don't want sidewalks there, but we do know from our last talk that you need a water main on Hauser. And the benefit to doing the request to DOT next year for those 3 roads is that you can go to the trust fund in between for that water main. You are eligible for the 50% loan forgiveness, right? And that road can be wrapped into the asset management plan, right? Where you will also save 50% on the cost of that plan with the trust. And you get, your timing works right and you save a lot of money in the end. So I think we should push Hauser Bennett and Prospect, whether you want sidewalks or not, to next year's application, but move forward with replacing the water main so that you are scheduled properly for that. And this year, I'd like you to increase, I'd like you to beef up the Spring Crest application.
I guess that's what we paid. You know, we need this advice. I rode around and looked at them, and I have to agree with you. You know, I understand sidewalks on Spring Crest. You know, there's a lot of kids that walk to school there. Unfortunately, they're high school. That one short street, I forget the name of it. What is that?
Glen Road,
Huh?
Glen Drive.
Glen Drive.
Glen? That's all beat up. That's falling apart. And then we have the other one around the corner by the school that,
Out of the 3 streets over there we discussed, Spruce Court is the worst.
Spruce Court.
Carmella
that's falling apart.
talked about grant money, and as it is an orphan road, you're not going to get it. We priced it out, I think, I remember looking at the notes, it was $90,000 for the borough to do it alone. So I think if you're going to go with your spring crust, then you've got to do Spruce Court, because the residents over there, we're up there patching holes constantly.
And
So
they're
you either throw the money away and go patch, or you bite the bullet and do the road.
And in addition, we also say, so if you ask to mill and pave Spring Crest, and you ask for a sidewalk, it is a relatively small dollar amount grant request. And because the borough generally does so well with the DOT, with the amount of money they give, I'd hate to see you ask for a small amount of money because they always give you a little bit less. I'd rather you try to maximize the money that you can receive from your DOT.
Council have any comments? Steve?
I have comments and questions. So Maxwell was pre-91. You didn't talk about Maxwell in this plan. Maxwell, so that's 25, oh, you know, that's pushing 30 years or whatever. Right? And it's in bad shape. You know, that's, you drive down Maxwell, that has issues. Despite when it was done or that it was done before. And it's in need of sidewalks. So what would you propose? How do you propose to address Maxwell?
Well, I'd like you to put Maxwell off until another time. I think there are other roads in worse condition. I realize it doesn't have sidewalks where you'd like them. But I think it's a year at a time as we try to look forward. Sometimes roads change year by year. And I also know that I have never seen DOT fund 2 separate applications in 1 year. So we can go ahead and prepare Maxwell plus the Spring Crest, but I think if we do a solid application for Spring Crest with these other smaller streets, you're in a far more strong position, a far stronger position, to get a good funding from the DOT. So Maxwell is a next year or thereafter recommendation.
You know, the other thing I want to mention is, I've been pushing for sidewalks. We keep talking about roads, paving roads in, bad condition. And, the roads are old, but this idea of making sidewalks a priority, it's just not coming out of a recent idea of the borough. I went back to, and this is sort of just a background, where I'm coming from, and where this committee came out of, that is looking at streets, sidewalks. If you go back to the '98 master plan, and we're talking about a 20-year-old master plan at this point. One of the goals and objectives was give pedestrian movement priority over any other form of transportation. So that's right in the master plan. And then there's a circulation element. And I'm just going to cherry pick a few lines out of it just to give you a flavor of what's in it and what was important then. And I'll mention the '98 master plan is re-examined every 10 years. So this stuff was reaffirmed, the information in here was reaffirmed in 2004 and again in 2014, and it's still a part of our master plan. So, under goals and objectives of the circulation element, talks about improving quality of life in Hightstown is central to the master plan. Part of improving life in the borough is improving pedestrian accessibility. The goals and objectives clearly state that pedestrian movement must be a priority. Existing traffic on local streets make using a car a preferred and often safer option. If links can be established for alternate modes of transportation and existing traffic volumes can be reduced, then the services through the borough will be more available, once again, to the local residents. And then finally, there is an element in the circulation plan that talks of pedestrian use specifically. And it says that pedestrian circulation systems need a great deal of attention in both the downtown area and the residential neighborhoods. In residential areas, the sidewalks are essential. The borough is small enough that it should be possible to walk anywhere within the borough from anywhere else. Yet the sidewalk system is incomplete. And again, Maxwell is a prime example. And that's a heavily trafficked road and a lot of pedestrian use. It's a link to the downtown. In some situations, conditions are simply unsafe. Children cannot get to school safely, and it goes on like that. So that's sort of the background. That's why I think we really have to keep this as a priority and kind of shift our focus less on roads and more on pedestrian safety, because the speed limit's 25. Nobody's going to get a flat tire going down. They're in bad shape, but they're not. There's not potholes. There's not sinkholes. And they're not. So I just thought I'd give that background since we're talking about it.
Well, I agree with you completely. And as the years have been going on, we've added huge councils have added sidewalks. At your urging, Steve, this really is the first time we've gone out of order when the road condition didn't drive the application, and as council chooses to do it. What I want to help you do, though, is create a strong enough application that you'll get a solid amount of funding. And I think I think the better way to go is one application. But that doesn't mean you're stuck. I've had us, councils ask for 2 roads, 2 priorities in a year. And there have been times when you got the one priority and then out of the blue, they came in with money for the next priority.
Aren't you recommending 2 applications?
No.
Hauser
No.
Bennett?
That's next year.
No, next year.
That would be next.
This is
Right,
next
right.
year.
Right now,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
recommending, we take Springcrest with the new sidewalk and
Okay,
add
and
to it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I thought you were also proposing this year
Oh, no.
as option.
No, because you need to have that water main done, and it really wouldn't benefit you to make that request now, since you would just have to wait on the water main
anyway.
Well, the other thing, with those three streets, Hauser, Bennett, and Prospect, I mean, we'll be talking about it next year, but I guess when the time comes, we may want to consider, I think we're starting to run out of grant opportunities for safe routes to school, pretty much filling in all the gaps around the elementary school, so it makes sense not to go for the sidewalks in those areas.
Under the municipal aid
Yeah.
grants, exactly. The safe routes to schools seem to come about every 2 to 3 years. So you could do the sidewalks separately, and since that neighborhood feeds the elementary school, it's a perfect application for safe routes to schools. And then still you maximize what you need to do for the roadways over there with the municipal aid grant. Right, so for this year, I'm recommending it's Springcrest along with Spruce, Glen, and Taylor. And right now, I'm saying, next year, let's do Hauser, Bennett, and Prospect.
And we may include some sidewalks there.
Right. So we can discuss it next year, and we can see what might be
Safe
happening.
routes
with
is the
safe
federal
routes.
grant?
It's the federal grant.
We're talking DOT here, right?
Well, they're all DOT. Some are funded only by state, and others are funded
Yeah, okay.
federally.
Safe routes is federal.
It's federal.
Okay. Any other comments from council? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a question for Carmella. On one of the pages in your memos that talks about taking in Ken's considerations, it starts off with number 1, Hauser. Where, I see Taylor's like number 4, but you think by bringing him in this application, that's the best way to incorporate it?
That's right.
Yeah.
We're in that area, and if we don't pull that in, it won't take much to do it. If we don't pull it in, it's going to be hard to incorporate it into another application. I think at some point, we're going to be across the road. We have to do Orchard and Schuyler at some point, and they make sense together.
I also wanted to ask you, do you recall what application that this council actually took off Spruce Court from a grant application? I cannot recall, but I remember that was one of the orphan streets that I said we should keep on the application, but the rest of the council said.
Moved a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a grant, though, it was just us paying for it.
Yeah, we were gonna pay for that.
We were gonna pay for that when we went to bid because it wasn't in the grant
It
application
was
and we're getting.
your director of public works, your superintendent.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Right,
Thanks.
who originated that, and so the road's in such poor condition.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Yes? Go ahead, Dennis.
So what would be the estimated amount of this application? And what would you say, what would be the cost of this project as it's built now?
Well, I don't know that just yet.
We didn't know.
Could you repeat that?
Tell them what to do.
I said, what would be the cost of the like what dollar amount would be on the application, and then what are we projecting the cost would be for the roads after?
I never know that until we
But round about,
price it, but I think sidewalks, 100,000. Springcrest could be another 100. I'm guessing it's 400 to 600,000. Just a wild guess.
I thought,
And I don't know. I don't know how much Glen needs. I don't know Taylor's just a mill and overlay.
So you can mill and overlay Springcrest,
Springcrest,
sidewalks on one side, but we don't know yet which side.
right, right.
I have a question. To apply for the grant, we have to do the roadway to get the sidewalks on that road? Because like, it seems kind of
Well,
funny.
the
to just-
DOT has municipal aid, and you can go for a road restoration, or a quality of life improvement, or pedestrian safety improvement. Right. So you could apply just for sidewalk for $100,000, right? But I'm telling you, please don't take your year. Every year you get money from the DOT. don't apply for $100,000 only in a year. You have other needs. They're right in front of us that we're talking about. And if you add these roads into it, it's a stronger application, and you will receive more money from the DOT. That's up to you, but I think.
Springcrest isn't in the greatest shape either. I mean, it's probably better than these other roads we mentioned.
Well, it's got trouble at the intersections, it's not so bad down the middle. But I wouldn't recommend you apply simply for a sidewalk.
And the odds of us getting for just a sidewalk are not as great, should we be giving credit as well.
Or maybe you do get it, and then for a whole year, your only infrastructure improvement, right, transportation improvement is a sidewalk on Springcrest. Understood, it's an important sidewalk, but there's so much more that needs to be done. Like, I also say the state's got money now. Yeah, put in your application and get your share. They're about to increase the gas tax. We don't know how budgeting works. That gas tax is not allocated specifically to infrastructure. So you never know when they're going to be doing what they did a couple of years ago. Shut down transportation in the state, right? And start handing out smaller and smaller grant amounts to all municipalities.
Do you foresee any water work that has to be done on those streets?
Like the hydrants, but other than that.
Not at the present time, Mayor.
Council? Go to recommendation. Yes.
Oh, no, you said average $400,000 to $600,000 that this will cost.
I said, I'm giving you a wild guess
No,
tonight.
wild estimate,
Right.
exactly.
Mhm.
But do we have a wild estimate about what the state might give us in funding?
We don't. I mean, last year they gave you essentially everything you asked for.
And
The
what-
year before, it was Maple and Sunset. That was when there wasn't a trust fund. And on that, you got
275,
75.
So what's the borough's stance always, let's say this comes in at, let's say it comes in at, I don't know, $100,000 that we get, hypothetically speaking. Do we still go ahead then with these repairs? Are they necessary? And I guess the question then rolls into, do we have a 5-year, for instance, budget with this? So we can look. We talk about a 5-year budget. All the plans we've been budgeted and spend our money wisely. Do we have that? Because just because you get some money, obviously it's still costing money.
If you get so little money that there's practically nothing coming your way, you can ask the DOT to modify the scope of what you requested to do. That's how you address that.
And next year, you said we would be looking at the next one would be Hauser, Bennett's, Prospect. Now, on your list from November 2017, Dutch Neck is also included on that list. That's in pretty bad shape as well. But would that be also included since that's a similar area there, or do you have other?
Well, year by year, things change. And we have to update this year by year. Right now, we are completing the Safe Routes to Schools application, which would be to put a sidewalk on Dutch Neck. And knowing that's coming, your administrator just reached out to Mercer County, asking for them to provide the paving of Dutch Neck Road so that the whole thing could be done together. And so Dutch Neck's going to move to the bottom of the list. And really, this is generally a real good look at where things are at this moment. And then as we get money, as things change, as the weather deteriorates roads, we double check this with you.
Any other questions? Sir? Well, I think they're giving you a green light to go your way.
Okay, good, thank you very much.
All right.
So they go there.
That application will take how long to get?
Well, we have to do it this month. I think it's due October 8th.
So we have a deadline October 8th.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Kenny, thank you for coming tonight. I know it's your schedule. So part of my job. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, get busy.
Ken,
Yes.
you wait a minute, Carmela's gonna leave too.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Carmela, thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Now we're going into ordinance. All right, we have ordinance 2018-18. First reading and introduction of bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Borough of Hightstown and the County of Mercer, New Jersey, appropriating $189,600. Therefore, it authorizes the issuance of $180,500 of bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. We looking for a motion to introduce. Moved by Councilman Missouri.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Hanson. Go into discussion. Debbie, could you handle it?
Yes, this bond ordinance is for various equipment as listed on the ordinance for the police department, fire department, and that's all this particular ordinance is for because we're doing self-funding on the other two projects.
Did everybody hear that? All right. It's for various pieces of equipment for the police department, fire department, what was the other thing? Municipal building?
No, the other two projects that we're doing are gonna be self-funded. Those are the ones for the roof and the wastewater treatment plant and the enclosures in the Stockford Street lot and the dumpster.
Thanks.
They're gonna be self-funded.
All right, been moved and seconded and discussed. Can I have a roll call to introduce?
Mr. Missouri?
Yes.
Mr. Montbrat?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Ms. Blue? Yes. Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
So carried 5-0. Next meeting,
Public hearing will be September 17th.
September 17th. Public hearing will be on September the 17th. Excuse me.
Mayor, I have one question to ask the administrator.
Amen.
Does that include one speed trailer or two?
All right. 2018-15, ordinance 2018-15, final reading, public hearing, amending chapter 7 entitled Traffic, section 7-20 entitled Stop Intersection of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of Hightstown. I'm going to open up the public comment, public hearing. People come forward and say, you can speak for or against or whatever you want about this.
My name is Eugene Sir. I live at 628 South Main Street. What's it for? Where? What?
At the high school.
It's at the high school.
At the high school. Go ahead.
They have two stop signs in the parking lot, exiting the parking lot of the high school that are not enforceable by the
Oh, okay.
Hightstown Police
Okay, right.
Department.
On Spring Street.
Dangerous intersection.
On Westerly.
Westerly and Leshen, yes.
And West.
Yeah. So that will become a four-way stop because it's the jurisdiction over the two stop signs.
Sounds like a good
in the
idea.
parking.
I'm all in favor.
Thank you, Chief.
You can change the bid.
Thank you. Anybody else coming forward to the public hearing? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing. Looking for a motion to move to final reading? Adopt. To adopt. I'll move that. Been moved by Councilman Missouri.
Second.
Second by Councilman Montero. Any other further discussion?
I think it's long overdue.
I do, I think it's overdue, yes, and I think the situation is, when they get out of school, it's just crazy over there, and because it was on school property, we didn't have any way to enforce it. Now we have ability to enforce those laws. Ever roll call.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Meserve?
Yes.
Mr. Montferrat?
Yes.
Mr. Musil?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
So carried 5-0. We have final reading of public hearing. This is 2016. This is the one I asked that we table it. But I need a motion for somebody to table this. Our attorney says he has more paperwork to do, and need a motion to do that. Move to table by Missouri. Second by Hanson. Any other discussion about tabling?
Yeah, are we going to look at, give a better look at the streets as to what?
Yes.
Based upon.
Based upon
past
Yes.
discussions?
Wait, could you repeat that, because I can't
I
hear you?
want you to know
There's
is
something
what,
wrong with my hearing.
I want you to know if the comments you made would be taken into consideration
Thank you very
while
much.
it's
Yeah.
being revised.
Those comments you made tonight is going to incorporate into his discussion.
Thank you.
And the ones we discussed earlier today as well.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded and discussed at table. Have a roll call.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Meserve?
Yes.
Mr. Montferrat?
Yes.
Mr. Musil?
Yes.
It is tabled to the next meeting, correct? And the public hearing will be at the next meeting, right? We have resolution.
Unless it is revised in a substantial way. in which case
We may have to reintroduce it.
So we'll let you know.
All up to you.
I'll work together with that. We'll bring it back to you.
We have resolutions next. We have resolution 2018-163, payment of bills. Council, you have the bill list in front of you. Does anybody have any problems with the bills, questions on the bills, or any concerns about the bills? I'm looking for a motion to accept the bill list as presented. It's been moved for 2018-163 by Ms. Hanson,
Second.
second by Ms. Bluth. No other concerns? Have a roll call, please.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Meserve?
Yes.
Mr. Musil?
Yes.
Mr. Montferrat?
Stepped out. So carried 4-0, right? Authorizing the borough engineer to prepare a water service assessment management plan. Okay, this was brought up in public comment. I believe somebody brought that forward. This is something that came from the state of New Jersey, and it's mandatory for all municipalities. And once again, it was not funded by the state of New Jersey. Looking for a motion for 2018-164. Now on discussion. Would you like to move it? Yes. Moved by Councilman Musil. Looking for a second? Second by Councilwoman Bluth. Now discussion.
The question, I had a member of the public did bring up the
Get the
fact.
microphone, please.
A member of the public brought the fact that we've been delinquent. Is that true?
No.
No. While the bill was adopted, guidance was not provided to municipalities until October of last year, at which time Denny and I, along with some of our water plant people, attended that meeting. They promised additional guidance to come along. The guidance we're getting is, now you need to do your asset management plan and what exactly that entails, as Carmella put in her letter that I have in your packet. So we are not delinquent in any of it. It is due by April of 2019, and that's why we're establishing it now, so that it is done.
Thank you very much for that.
Any other questions, concerns? Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Musil?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Meserve?
Yes.
Mr. Montferrat?
Yes.
So carried 5-0. Resolution 2018-165, authorizing a shared service agreement with Monmouth County for truck washing facility. This is where we take our trucks, especially the garbage trucks, and get them washed periodically. It's a shared service. We just attended a meeting which discussed paying name in it, the way it works, changes they're gonna make to it. Looking for a motion to accept the shared service.
So moved, Mayor?
Moved by Councilman Montserrat, second by Councilman Musing. Any further discussion? Clean garbage truck is up to them.
And the
May I have a
only-
roll call? Oh.
Just so council knows, the only way we can get in this agreement with Monmouth County, because we are in Mercer, is because of our shared service agreement with Roosevelt.
That's right.
So that's why we're getting in on the truck washing facility, otherwise we would have to build our own.
This is quite a facility, and this is really neat, this is. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Montferrat?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Missouri?
Yes.
So carried 5-0. 2018-166, amended an agreement with Republic Service of New Jersey LLC for dumpster recycling service. This is where we asked them to co-mingle our dumpsters, correct?
Correct.
What we were having was people weren't putting this right stuff in the cardboard containers and everything else, but they were willing to do the co-mingle with an agreement. Looking for a motion to accept, to move 2018-166. Moved by Councilwoman Hanson, second by Councilwoman Blue. Any other further questions or concerns about this?
That's change pricing at all?
No, it does not. No, they've just changed it. Actually, they've already, even though we haven't authorized the amendment, they've already labeled it. This is for the businesses downtown that use the cardboard recycling. So now they'll be receiving a letter telling them that now they have to co-mingle in that. So that'll encourage them to recycle more.
A lot better, a lot better. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Missouri?
Yes.
Mr. Montferrat?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
So carried 5-0. Consent agenda, 2018-167 and 168. I'd like somebody to move it as a consent. It supports Safe Route to School, which I give you a heads up that when we talked about Dutch Neck Road, I contacted East Windsor. I told them that I would even try to do all the paperwork in our office for both, but the state of New Jersey won't accept that. The federal government will not accept that. It had to be separate applications, even though they do connect on the same road, and that is in the process. The other one is authorizing a sewer charge credit. Somebody filled a pool or had a leak or something, I forget what it was.
They had a leak, and they're just asking for a credit, not even a refund, just a credit to their account on the sewer charges.
Looking for a motion to accept both.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman
Second.
Missouri and seconded by Councilwoman Hanson. Any other discussion, concerns? Roll call, please.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Missouri?
Yes.
Mr. Montferrat?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
So carried 5-0. Public comment number 2. Any person wishing to address the mayor and council at this time will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes for his or her comments. Please come forward, give your name and your address. We may ask you to spell it.
My name is Eugene Thurman, 628 South Main. It is always wonderful to see. I've had 53 years of this to see Hightstown Borough. I also operate. But consider all important things like roads and plan ahead. I'm amazed at how this little community can be so well managed. And you really are well managed in every way I can think of. Just offer my congratulations. Now back to the real world of my complaints. On July 13th, I had the elements walk across my chest. I called 911, and they very quickly, the EMS was there within reasonable time. I think they were from Ross. I didn't know much at that time anyway. However, after the life support people said, yeah, you got a problem with your heart, they put me in a stair chair. Now, I would think, well, let me give you some history. We tried to put a bill through New Jersey legislature that 2 EMTs had to be licensed on a bus. 2. Our idiot politicians know, only one needs to be licensed. The other one doesn't know a thing. So I had a situation where, I don't know if you're paying Robbinsville for that service or not. I hope you're not. I hope it's volunteer, but one of them was a licensed EMT. The other one, I doubt he's been in a bus before in his life. They bounced me down my porch steps in a stair chair, get in the ambulance and go to Princeton Hospital. They pulled me out of the, on the gurney, they pulled me out, and the second person did not know how to drop the steps down, or the wheels down. So the poor EMS that was licensed there was holding me up, all my 200-some pounds, dying. Well, they finally talked the guy into dropping how to drop the wheels. You can't have it. You can't have it. I felt bad for the EMT who was licensed, because you cannot run an ambulance with only one EMT. You get on. I had to do that a couple of times. You're on the highway, the turnpike. You're trying to board a person with only one person knowing how to do it. No, it can't happen. So anyway, you might ask Robbinsville if you're paying them. You better find out if that's the night that they were on duty. If you're paying them, so you're paying for 2 licensed EMTs, not one, and one guy they found on the street. Thank you.
That was July the 13th,
July the 13th, Friday night.
or Friday the 13th. Good to hear you back on the
Thank you.
mic again. And good you could complain too, that's pretty good. Mr. Campbell.
Scott Castor, 12 Clover Lane. Gene complimented you on managing the borough, and I agree. Can we pull this one out of the hat also? I started it 2 weeks ago, and I want to continue it. And I'm hoping for some help. And I'm hoping for you to demonstrate some help and some synergy around this tonight. Like right now, every day downtown, in the center of town, it gets worse and worse and worse. There's a drinking problem downtown. It's worse than you know of. It's worse by far. There's also a homeless issue. There's a sleeping issue right in front of people's eyes. Today, the gentleman was sleeping in his makeshift homeless shelter downtown. This one was not on borough property. In the past, it has been on borough property. This was on private property adjacent to the downtown. I have been in touch with almost everybody, or everybody has had a part in attempting this. And I'm trying to suggest to you that not one of you, not me, not anybody in the borough knows how to accomplish a success here. Nobody knows the answer. Nobody's claiming to know. Please say, we can't do anything about it. If he breaks the law, then we'll do something. But we got to see him first. I see him breaking the law every single day. I see him drinking in the municipal parking lot every single day. I see him out like a light on the sidewalk. I see him out like a light in the middle of the street. I see him out like a light on public park benches. I hope you're appreciating how bad this is. When he sleeps, zonked out, it's on Stockton Street. It's in full view of every car driving down Stockton Street, as he was this afternoon. He knows how to work the system. He knows how to beat the police. He knows how to walk out of the liquor store with his liquor and do a look around, even before he walks out the door of the liquor store. And once he gets into the parking lot, he knows how to look around too to make sure that there's no cop in the vicinity, and then he downs it like that. I've sat with him. I've tried to get to know him. I saw my first cousin 5 years ago die at age 49 of the same thing. This guy's in a lot worse shape, I believe, spoken as a layperson, than my first cousin was. So his days are numbered. I'm speaking from the humanitarian point of view for his sake. I'm speaking also for downtown Hightstown's sake. Everybody sees this. Everybody knows about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. Police aren't doing anything. Downtown Hightstown's not doing anything. RISE is aware of it, not doing anything. The Borough of Hightstown, the administration, the mayor, the council, everybody's aware of this. Nobody's doing anything. I don't know how to do anything. I don't see anybody even picking up a finger trying to do anything. So what are we doing here? In closing, I've spooled around on my cell today, and I bumped into Instagram and reviews all about the 12 Farms. There are glorious reviews about 12 Farms. People talking about how they love going there, spend $50 and get the best dinner ever. We have one extreme down there that looks like that. We have another extreme down there that looks like this. The contrast is amazing. Nobody's doing anything about it. I have actually asked people to step to the other side of the sidewalk on the people who were going to 12 Farms, because otherwise they'd have to step over it. So what are we going to do about it? I really strongly suggest that, Mr. Mayor, you could lead this. We all could be bigger people about it and lead it. We need to get out of this. We can't just keep looking the other way. You could lead it. We could lead it. We could all be a part of it. But a consortium of individuals who are responsible within the next week or 10 days could be put together. Put us all in the same room and let's figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castor.
Doug Mayer, 536 South Main Street. The first thing I want to say, for the past 5 years, you told a member of this public that there wasn't anything that you could do about bicycles on the sidewalk. And even though there was an ordinance forbidding it, now you're strengthening the no bicycle on sidewalks ordinance that you claimed that you couldn't do anything about without the posting of signs. So I was just kind of curious, what's changed? Excellent. For the past year, I've asked you about retired Police Sergeant Mark Nero's proclamation for service, and all 4 times you have refused to answer. I think it's shameful for the mayor to allow his bias to get in the way of acknowledging an almost 30-year veteran of the department. In addition, Police Officer Frank Marchione has recently retired in good standing and should also be acknowledged by proclamation for his service. Speaking about Mr. Marchione, he has the right to buy back, according to your rules, up to $15,000 in unused sick days and vacation days. The borough administrator is claiming he is not entitled to it. Is this going to bring us into another court battle where the litigation costs are going to be more than the payout? Excellent. Finally, I want to say, last year you said that you would redo the parking lot signage for the upper lots, and it still hasn't been done. Any plan of doing that this year or next year? Excellent. Now I'm going to go to the part where my wife really hates, where I kind of like just wing it. Regardless if you like me or not, I don't care. But if you can't answer, the only person to answer questions tonight, and to her credit, is the borough administrator. You guys can't answer our questions, you can't answer my questions, or you just talk to one individual about one item that you feel good about talking about. That's not your job. I can give you a 30-minute block of instruction to tell you exactly what your job is if you want me to. But that's not your job. To just sit up there quietly looking back at us and not saying anything. It's a real disservice. It's a disservice to the community. I saw an open public meeting in here. It was on YouTube. I saw an open public meeting in here where the mayor attended, where a resident from the public decided to get, a few questions answered and see what the people were interested in with what was going on in the town. And I thought that was pretty cool because it never gets done here. And I was surprised that the mayor attended. But what actually surprised me the most is I learned more from the mayor's few comments in an open public meeting that wasn't run by the governing body than what I find from the mayor when he's sitting in his appointed chair. You can't answer any of the questions that I asked you tonight, but you can answer the questions of the public at a forum that you don't control. And I find that troubling as well. I think that this is a good time for you to reflect on what your job is, what your responsibilities are, and what people like myself are coming up here and asking of you. It's not too hard to answer simple questions. And you know what? I wouldn't feel less of you if you said you didn't know. But to just sit there, you know, with a smirk on your face, or the one picture I got where you was sleeping when Scott was talking, you know, I don't think that's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tough act to follow, but I'll give it a shot.
Go away.
JP Gibbons, 602 North Main Street. And I thought we'd both try it at the same time. Okay, here we go. A couple of things brought up during this meeting that I couldn't talk about until after the public session had been gone and you guys had your discussion. The first one of which is I didn't mention it during the stop sign because I wanted to find out what the discussion was going to be like. I hear that this issue about the stop sign down at the high school is a very critical one, well overdue, et cetera, and it's a safety issue. I'm all in favor of the whole concept. I didn't hear one discussion about implementing this critical new safety feature. Are we going to have a 30-day blitz for high school kids coming out of that parking lot? We have changed to a four-way stop. We have done this, we have done that. And then follow that up with a 30-day warning program where you issue out warnings to kids and you say to them, hey, remember, we now have stop signs here. We're going to alienate the high school kids by pissing them off, excuse the expression, by appearing to pick on them. Now, when you first made four-way stops throughout the borough a couple of years ago, a lot of residents were upset. I'm a safety specialist, for God's sakes. I know from which I speak. Work with the community. Put an effective program in place. Get a flyer out. Pass it out at the high school. Have all the teachers say, oh, by the way, next week, this is becoming effective. Pass it out to the high school seniors. Those people with permits to park in the parking lot. Put a couple of signs up. Doesn't hurt. And then let the cops be reasonable. I don't need any police officers being called pigs or anything else. I want them to be friendly. It's a neighborhood community program. Why not? It's for your own. And then the last question on that stop sign issue is, was there any analysis done on the effect on congestion and traffic patterns as a result of the stop sign change? You cannot have a change like that that is supposedly so critical without a traffic analysis. I didn't say anything because I really hoped during the part of the meeting you'd have all that stuff. I didn't hear a damn thing about it. But that's critical. This is how you interact with the community. It helps. The second part of my point is on North Main Street and in several other parts of the borough, there are houses being built, okay? And I'm really upset for two reasons. The first one of which is nobody seems to give a care about how they're being built. You've got the guy on North Main Street around 565 North Main Street. Got people over there on the roof, no fall protection, no hard hats, none of that stuff. Your construction official is over there. No one says anything. These are basic OSHA requirements. He falls off that roof, we're going to have a problem with our emergency response people. It's a community issue. You tell them to put a helmet on because they can't drive without a helmet, but we don't tell a person on a third floor roof they need to have fall protection. It's ludicrous. We're having more and more non-traditional contractors building 1s and 2 homes in this community. Where the hell is our enforcement for the community? And in addition, I've mentioned to the gentleman 3 times, and I'm going to try to have him ticketed. You talked about sidewalks. Fantastic. It's your pet thing. Fantastic. That guy, the developer over there, parks his damn pickup truck on the sidewalk, and everybody walking up North Main Street has to walk around his damn pickup truck into the road.
Not one cop has stopped to tell the guy to move his truck onto the lot. And the guy's attitude about belonging to this community is, I'm here to build this and the hell with the rest of you. I'm tired of that. You want to come into the community, you want to make money, be my guest. But God darn it, when you leave and made your money, I expect you to treat the residents that are on both sides of you in the community with some damn respect. It's the least we can do. So let's tell people when they give them a contractor's permit to do construction in this borough from the ground up, we expect this level of professionalism. And if you can't do it, don't give them the building permit. Okay? Thank you very much. Sorry, going over.
Oh, you got more class than I get.
Well, you were being personal.
Oh.
Good going.
Jordan Adler, 2 Friar Court. I was reading the packet for this month where you're working on actually repaving or repainting the intersections. And it's not so much repainting, it's signage. And I appreciate all the work. I know some people on the council have been on committees. There's no one in town stopping anywhere. By the library, on Main Street. I mean, I was out Saturday and Sunday with my son. I was getting hit twice. I have to walk into the crosswalk so my son can cross. And then cars slowly brake as they approach the white line where they're about to hit us. I mean, are we going to just have painting crosswalks because we're ignoring them today? But it follows up to something that a few people have alluded here tonight. Where are the police on this? And hopefully, Mr. Mayor, you can invite them to come to the next meeting, the police chief. Because right now, I'll tell you what the police are. They're sitting on the corner of Wyckoff Mills Road, the Wyckoff Mills Condo Association, sitting in the grass, ticketing people traveling through, residents, nowhere else in town, but they seem to be congregating on our grass now. A few months ago, we had a major issue, and we asked for help, and the police came out. And the problem continued for 6 months. I mean, they're supposed to be protecting and serving. And I don't think that message is being retained anymore. It's not against the police, but it's to ask them to monitor all of downtown and the surrounding areas of Hightstown. JP mentions, yeah, this guy's parked in the middle of the street. He's working at 5:30 in the morning. There's no cops. Where are they? Again, they're parked on the grass at the corner of Wyckoff Mills Road, the Wyckoff Mills development, so you can get someone going 1 mile above the speed limit. So I would ask you if you could reach out to the police chief and have him attend, because we're getting more and more feedback from the community that something's going on here. They're not being pleasant, you know? They're not showing up for the disturbances. You have a drug dealer, you have, unfortunately a homeless person sleeping on a bench. They're nowhere to be seen. Where are they? They're monitoring something that's 6 months old because they didn't do it the first time. So I would ask you to please invite them to come speak to the police chief the next meeting.
Thank you, sir. See, nobody else coming forward to close the public comment. Sorry.
My name is Lefty Grimes. I'm from East Hanover, New Jersey. I used to work for Bell Labs for 21 years until I got injured on the job. And I broke my back. I have an artificial disc at L4, L5. I have a fusion, L5S1. I have severe stenosis in my neck, which causes both of my arms much pain and numbness. And the doctors had me on OxyContin, oxycodone, Neurontin, Valium. They were going to start me on antidepressants, whole cocktail of drugs for years. My prescription was 90 milligrams of Roxy every 3 hours. It's an incredible amount of oxycodone. I'm trying to kill me. I used medical cannabis. I got my cannabis card, and I used medical cannabis to get myself off all those drugs, all of them. I don't take any drugs today. It saved my life. It saved my life. It saved the life of many people. Unfortunately, the laws have actually killed people. There's a girl named Sabina Rose, 15 months old. She was not able to get her cannabis card. She had a 25-hour seizure, and she died waiting for her cannabis card in the mail because of Governor Christie's overregulation. She couldn't get her cannabis. My friend Jay died a couple years ago. He called me before he died. He says, Lefty, I want to get on the medical cannabis program. I want to get off all the dope I've been on. He was on dope and pills. And it was easier for him to go down the corner and get pills and dope than it was to get cannabis, because you have to be on a list, you have to get a doctor, you have to spend a lot of money. And there's only 6 dispensaries in New Jersey, so you basically have to drive hours. I know my friend Jeff here, he has chemo. I don't know if he's wearing his chemo bag tonight, but his wife has to actually drive him an hour to get his cannabis from a dispensary. That's not compassion. That's a really horrible way to treat people. We need to do better. As Christians, it says in the Bible, what you do to the least of us, you do to God. So we need to help the sick and the dying. I could care less about legalization. I want to help the patients right now, because everybody sees dollar signs right now. Everybody. And all the patients are being forgotten about right now. And it's disgusting that they built this program on the backs of the sick and the dying, and now they forgot about them. Patients need home grow. They're not going to get it, but they need that because they can't afford our medicine. My medicine is $500 an ounce. I can get OxyContin. I got it for workers' comp, OxyContin. I was getting it for free. I gave all that up to pay all this money for cannabis to save my life. You have disabled war vets killing themselves. Over 22 vets a day are killing themselves. And there's towns in New Jersey that have actually banned the medicine for vets. There's actually towns in New Jersey that don't have wheelchair access, and they're public libraries for vets. I'm glad to hear you talking about the streets and the roads, because I fight for disabled people's access too. And there's towns in New Jersey that just don't care. They have banned the medicine. They sell fentanyl. They'll sell OxyContin. They'll sell booze and tobacco. But cannabis, which will get you off all those things, there's a stigma against that, and they won't sell it. I'm hoping this town opens their mind and opens their compassion up to a medical dispensary. We definitely need that in this area. I'm in this area all the time, and we need to help the sick and the dying. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Come forward, please.
My name is Tom Karpowicz. I'm from Morristown, New Jersey, and I'm here to speak on behalf of medical marijuana, how it saved my life as it did left. I'm a veteran with post-traumatic stress. I have a story that I'd like to, it was in Stars and Stripes magazine, Bergen Record. It's been global, this little story of mine. I'd like to play it for you. It's about 3 minutes long, so this was in global. It's been everywhere.
I'll be somewhere and see something, and I'm right back. There was snow on the ground. I wasn't dressed for it, so I get cold, get shaky, like I'm cold. You know, I actually physically feel it. I physically feel that I'm there. It's not that I'm there just in my mind. I really physically feel that I'm there. It's a sadness. It's like my brother, he's dead, and you know, like what did I have to do with it, and why am I here? And that might last a few minutes. That might last a few days. One of our jobs is to make sure that the aircraft gets to where it's supposed to be. I knew where they should have been popping out of the clouds right about, and they were off course. So I guided him, get him all nice and lined up. As he flies over the top of the aircraft, I could see State Rainey in the door. He was the jump master. They were only probably 1,000 feet, I think, what, 800 to 1,000. I could see him in the door, and I gave the execute, which means go, you know, let him go. They didn't go. I gave the execute again. At that point, the pilot said, we're going to go out and back around. All right, no biggie. Kept in contact. And on the way back in, he hit a mountain. Time was of the essence. There might be somebody alive. First guy I walked up on.
20-hour search and rescue mission. This was after a 20-hour search and rescue.
I don't know how long. I just stood there because it was the first one I saw. But it probably wasn't long because it was like, he's dead. Next. So then we went right through each one, you know, to make sure that Okay, that first, like, make sure, there were 18 people total on that aircraft. One of them, he dug a hole in the ground.
I can't listen to this one.
So he lived for a little bit.
He lived for a little while. We didn't get there fast enough.
He's a good brother. Good brother. Back then, therapy was get back on the horse, back to work.
1984.
Give you a week or so. That's what they did. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, permanently total from post-traumatic stress. Cannabis helps me. Give it to me. Simple as that. I want to live a peaceful life. I don't want to live a hectic, crazy, prescription drug-driven life.
100 milligrams of oxycodone a day.
Smoke some
It's
weed.
gone from my life.
Chilling out. That's the rest of my life. That's what I want.
Xanax is gone from my life. All the SSRI, Prozac, all those other things are gone. Trazodone, Tramadol, all gone from my life. Alcohol, gone from my life. I used to pick fights. I'd go to Morristown, bar hopping, to find the punk in the bar that needed his butt kicked, just to get my frustrations out on that poor young man. He deserved it. That didn't deserve, you know, as many times as I did it, I don't know. But I used to do it just to, it was my way of self-medicating and dealing with my pain and my stress. I don't do any of that anymore. I'm a chill, laid back, smoke my medical weed. I'm thinking about that brother, that one brother that I can't get that out of my mind. Whenever it comes up, we talk about it. My one brother that lived for a little while to see. Anyway, this helped me save my life. I came close to killing myself more than times than I remember. Being on alcohol, I tried to kill myself. I don't know how many times I tried to kill myself. Weed has taken me off of all of that. I'm back to earth. I'm back to being me. I'm back to kissing and loving my wife, being with my dog, and not taking and worrying about when my next oxycodone pill, if I'm running out of my oxycodone, when is it coming? When is my Xanax? Where are these pills? That's all gone from my life. So I just want to let you know that if there is an opportunity for you guys to approve a medical grow facility, which I hear might come to this location and come up to a vote for you guys to vote on, please vote yes. I live in Morristown. I just drove down to Camden to get my medicine. I have my legal medicine in my pocket right now. This is my legal medicine. I haven't even opened the bag yet. I drove from Morristown to Camden to get this weed. I don't even like this dispensary here that's here in the Cranberry. I don't like it. They have oil now. They finally got oil.
Yeah.
They got oil, but it's $250 a gram. It's crazy expensive. I just came from Colorado. I spent what I had on Colorado, whatever I got in Colorado. I had I spent about a quarter of what I would spend here, and I got triple the quality. It makes no sense. So anyway, please, if you guys have the opportunity to vote on this greenhouse becoming, instead of orchids, turning it into medicine, please turn the orchids into medicine. That's all I ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else coming forward?
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Oates from Oceanport, New Jersey. And that's also a very hard act to follow. I haven't known Don for a long time, but I got to thank him for explaining to all of us what is most important in life. And I, too, am here to talk about medical cannabis. I am right now a cancer survivor. My journey has been 3 years, 32 treatments of chemotherapy. My view on life is pretty simple. I guess it's probably similar to Don's. When everything that is common, or what most people see as common, is taken away from them. And like post-traumatic stress disorder, cancer has that effect. I don't know if anyone here has it, has dealt with it. I'm sure someone has had a family member at least. And somebody that may be sick now is dealing with it. What I would strongly suggest to you is please come talk to me in the hallway after the meeting and I'll tell you my complete story because I can't stand to see people suffer. So to get back to, you folks have had a long night tonight and your dinner is probably ice cold by now and you've been yelled at a few times and I respect you guys and that's why I applaud it because that's good politics. So, but in the spirit of general health and caring for one another and listening to some of the concerns of your constituents here, that medical cannabis facility here, and I understand there's always zoning issues, but you legislators and you zoning people, you have the power to tailor things so you can make things work. I'm talking about the size of the facility. Another example would be possibly the advertisement, size of the sign, whether or not it's going to have a pot leaf on it or whatever. But to echo some of the concerns that you have in town about the drinking, it's a common thing, and it's not. It's similar to a lot of things that are happening in other towns, and alcohol is one of them. And I'm sure there is probably an opioid addiction there and a heroin problem as well. Where I'm from, in Oceanport, we've had our share of opioid addiction and heroin overdoses and unfortunately some deaths. And I've been active in my speech to address those concerns and to give tonight maybe to give some insight and an opportunity and possibly discussion going forward for the town here that might address some of their concerns for the abuse of alcohol. A medical facility is fully regulated. You're worried about security and where your police department is and how secure your town is. You're worried about homelessness and public drunkenness. A medical facility will provide 24-hour surveillance, armed surveillance. It's mandatory in all the facilities. It will give a presence in town. It wouldn't draw vagrants. These are all my friends here. I mean, we're watching live. We're not vagrants, we're medical patients. We have cancer, multiple sclerosis, all kinds of different disorders. And, we have suffered the public stigma that our treatment is somehow, you only have your medical card to get stoned type of stuff. But there's an opportunity here, if addressed correctly, it can actually improve the safety in town and add a 24-hour security presence that would deter any really through traffic that is looking to, might have devious intent or whatnot, and would certainly have the effect of driving out the black market. And the other concern is, and very similar, I've been to council meetings all over this state now, and the concerns are always the infrastructure. The roads are crumbling. The roads in my town are crumbling. They're falling apart. Another season of ice, and who knows what they're going to look like. So you're also looking at the tax revenue that comes with it to help with your infrastructure, to help with maybe your schools that might need help. And with this dispensary comes patients, legitimate patients, coming to get medication that's been recommended by licensed physicians, been recommended by the Board of Health. These facilities are first class. It's something that could be a centerpiece of your town. I don't know how many, I'm not real familiar with Hightstown. I don't know if you have a lot of physicians' offices in town. maybe you could have some input from them. I'm sure some of them would probably recommend cannabis or do recommend cannabis in their practices. And then there's also relationships with universities that the town could possibly get involved in. And another one that I'd like to, I would assume, I don't know, somebody tell me, is there a problem with opioid use in town? Is there a problem with opioid use?
Oh, yes.
There is.
Without a doubt.
There is. So, what I can tell you from my experience, okay, and the key word that really gets under my skin is gateway drug. Okay? Gateway drug. And marijuana is a gateway drug. Please, take it serious if you're going to legislate and know that 2/3 of the overdoses related to opioids and heroin overdoses, 2/3 of those addicts come from or develop out of legitimate opioid prescription medications. 2/3. It's not from cannabis because they smoke the joint. It comes from opioid prescriptions. Do your research, it's there. Don't take my word for it. Your problem in town, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You get my point. I appreciate your time.
Can I just interject, and could you guys schedule an appointment for all of you guys to visit the dispensary here in Cranberry, so you guys know what he was talking about being a facility, a very controlled and a very good facility?
Anybody else coming forward?
They will accept any politicians that come. They'll gladly give you a tour, just to let you know. You got them right down the street.
Good evening. Hello, can you hear me? My name is Jeff King. I live at 24 Elizabeth Parkway in Borough, Eatontown. That's County of Monmouth. Appreciate your time very much tonight. It's a lovely borough you have here. It's very charming. I'm not going to repeat what all my friends have been saying, but I do actually fully support them and agree with hearing their stories. They have a lot of wisdom. I'm humbled by the activism in this room. Really, a lot of heart and soul. So remember the compassion that we're coming with. I would like to raise the point of right now the civil rights issue of how we have a disproportionate enforcement of the marijuana law still. Right now, the Attorney General has rescinded the hold on prosecution, and to me that's really, it's a travesty. It's really horrible. It's disgusting. It's like
Prosecutions, but
Jim
not
Crow.
arrests. How about
So
that?
I just want you to use your leadership position. I know, Governor Murphy is working as hard as he can on it, but you need to pressure Congressman Smith, the chair in the 4th. Please pressure him to help veterans. Please, you guys have relationships with these officials. Our freeholders in Monmouth County have not been supportive of the patients. They've not shown compassion. Their priority is, I don't know what it is, but it's not compassion. So please, we're begging you to be smarter and wiser. Please, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say that if you have this operation, my friends have these skills and they can help. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Closing public comment number 2. We're going to go into discussion. That's what we're going to discuss. Medical marijuana dispensary. I want to tell you how this all came about. Probably 2 months ago, maybe 3. We had a gentleman ask for a meeting. We met in the clerk's office with the chief of police, myself, and the clerk and the deputy clerk. And the first thing he said was, this whole thing fits in Hightstown. Okay, let's talk about it. He says, I need 7 acres in Hightstown. And I said, you realize Hightstown is only 1 square mile? I mean, if we had 7 acres, we'd be lucky, right? So, that discussion actually ended up, didn't fit in Hightstown. He wanted 7 acres to grow, so he left. And I was approached by an owner of property in Hightstown who said that he had somebody interested in this. And our clerk, administrator, said, you know, it's time that we bring this up to a meeting and talk about it, discuss it, and figure out, do we want to go down this road or don't we want to go down this road? I've been banging this around with different people, talking to different people. I myself, I've never tried it. I have no idea what it's all about. I do hear good things. I hear bad things. So what we did, we put it on the agenda for a discussion, and I guess that's how you guys got a hold of it. And what we're going to do here, we're going to open it up to the council. And I'd appreciate it if nobody interrupted the council, because it breaks the train of thought when you're doing this. And we're going to discuss it. And the discussion is going to be, do we want to go for medical and recreational, or just medical, or just recreational? And that's the way I'd like this discussion to go.
Mayor, if I could just interject, at this time, the only thing that's allowed is medicinal marijuana. The
Medicinal.
recreational component is something that the state legislature is wrestling with. That's not permitted. Under the New Jersey Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act that was approved in 2010, medicinal marijuana is permitted in the state of New Jersey. But right now,
So right now, we can't even talk about it.
there are only 6 dispensaries right now, 2 in the northern part of the state, 2 in the central part of the state, and 2 in the southern part of the state, that are dispensaries for medicinal marijuana. The state has opened up the process, and there was just an RFA that was put out by the state that the time period for additional dispensaries who are looking to locate in New Jersey to submit their applications expired as of Friday of last week, for the potential of 6 more, another 2 in the northern part of the state, 2 in the central part of the state, and 2 in the southern part of the state. And municipalities like Hightstown are considering at this time whether and to what extent to allow medicinal marijuana facilities, whether it be dispensaries or facilities for growth and manufacturing, which, as you indicated earlier, would require perhaps a little bit more space and size in order to accommodate that type of facility, perhaps. But that's what towns are considering. There are some towns that have adopted ordinances thus far to prohibit dispensaries and other types of facilities for medicinal marijuana within their municipal boundaries, and other other municipalities are being more open-minded about it. Many municipalities do not have any regulations yet, zoning regulations that allow for what they call alternative treatment centers, because the concept is so new. And the dispensaries that do exist are permitted because they're considered to be akin to retail uses, something like a drugstore or a pharmacy, which is typical in retail and commercial zones, whereas the cultivation and manufacturing is more akin to a light industrial. So,
Maybe farming.
yeah, farming, light industrial, with manufacturing and cultivation. But I think it's a good thing to start the conversation.
Yes.
And I'm sure it'll take some time for Hightstown to decide to what extent to allow or not medicinal marijuana within municipal boundaries. The state legislature, when it acted, has allowed municipalities to make the determination on their own as to the zoning regulations and whether to permit or not.
Okay. After talking to the owner of the property, I asked him if he had somebody to come forward here and explain more about the direction the buyer wanted to go. And somehow the communication between the seller of the property and the buyer of the property fell apart, and he did not show up to me. So, council, I guess the question is, do we want to go down this road? Do you think it's, does it fit in Hightstown? Is there a need in this area for it? Would you like to pursue this further. Anybody have a comment? Luke? Ms. Luke? Use the microphone, please.
Okay, I want to start off by saying that I 1000% support medical marijuana. In terms of it coming here, if we were a different kind of community, I absolutely would. I spent a great deal of time over the weekend looking into the 6 facilities that are currently in existence. And I think 4 of them, I think 2 I couldn't find, they were all located in industrial areas. We don't have an industrial area. I also found that the facilities that do exist now not only sell it, but they cultivate it in the same facility. Again, while I do support it, in terms of here, if you could show me where we could do that in our 1.2 square mile, then I'd be all for it. But we don't have that kind of an area. Newark, you were talking about the 6 new ones that are coming. I know it was last week or maybe the week before. Newark passed 2 resolutions approving it. One resolution said that it has to be near a medical facility or an industrial park, and the other resolution said it has to be 200 feet from schools and parks. Now, we've pretty much got parks all over the area, so again, I support it, but I don't know how it would fit in here in Hightstown.
Thank you. Connie, you want to take it?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in favor of going down this road, but I just had a little more logistical questions in terms of the location that this was referencing to. This was all new to me, by the way. I had no idea that, until tonight, that this was up for discussion as I was away. But tell me about the location that this property
We're talking
was referring
about
to.
Comiskey's greenhouse.
Okay.
Pretty good sized greenhouse.
Right. Okay. And then, I know we had talked about zoning regulations on Route 33 relating to treatment facilities, but I can't recall what the zoning is over on that rear end
I
of
have
town.
it right here.
Excuse me?
Okay, go for it.
HC zoning.
Oh, highway
It's
corner.
HC zoning, and pharmacies are allowed there, and so is light industrial, so it does fit into that.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to check that. You know, on the other end of town, near Wyckoff Mills, I know their industrial area will continue to grow. And I know on the North Main side of town, there will be a warehouse that will be built on the old Zeitz property. So I know that ends of town are having industrial growth. And then I had a question regarding, I know, I'm just saying, those are those leading right into town. And then the question, and this is where that site is leading into town. I have another question to Councilwoman Bluth. The site of the central location, Central Jersey locations, is the one
Speaking
on
of my-
South River Road?
Speaking of
You're
Mike,
talking about the one in Cranberry?
Yeah, what's the one in
I
Cranberry? Is that in the
don't
industrial
have-
park off South River Road? Cranberry, South River Road?
Yeah, Breakwater. I
Oh,
think.
Breakwater,
It's
okay.
called Breakwater.
And then, if there's one in Cranberry Township and it's so close, where's the need?
Well, I believe one gentleman said the price, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, so they would be
whether it's in the next
competitive.
town.
Oh, the need
Okay.
evolves. Now that Governor Murphy has allocated many more illnesses to be treated by cannabis, then the need is there because these facilities are, the security is very strict. They only allow so many people in at a time. So you can go to a facility even before they expanded the list of illnesses that are treated with cannabis and wait in line for an hour or two outside if you didn't get in
Gotcha.
to make your purchase from the place. So,
And then, you know, just on a
the
personal
need isn't
note,
ready to-
I totally understand the patient side of it. My family has 2 cancer survivors, and I'm one of them. So I totally understand the medical side of it. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. Dave?
So like Connor stated, this subject is new to us. I haven't done any research. I'm totally unfamiliar with this industry. I'm hearing it for the first time. This is sort of what folks spoke about here is the first time I even really heard firsthand about what this industry is, this type of facility entails. I don't know how much research then you've done or your
My
staff.
husband is a patient, I know that.
It would be good, it would be good to share.
I did actually send out on
Okay.
Tuesday, New Jersey, to all of you that you were on vacation, New Jersey Health Executive Order 6 report, as well as Chapter 3 of 7 the new law. And I sent it to all of their councils for you to review.
Yeah, but even beyond that, I'd be curious to see how these facilities operate, how they fit into towns, you know, just to get my kind of head
I
wrapped
spoke
around
with
what I.
Cranberry, they didn't have to do anything because the zoning.
It was already there.
Yeah. If the zoning's there, there's really no action.
Hey, David. Denny, any comment, questions, concerns? Here.
So, this is close to my heart too. Family members, including myself, that nothing would work except a cannabis script. Except a cannabis script for pain, side effects, all kinds of things. So, I have a close relationship with this situation. And I would be for the idea of it, as long as it fit in correctly. At this point, the only thing fitting in means to me is that it just is in some kind of balance size-wise to the nature of the town. You know, you don't want to look like that's all that's going on in Hightstown because it's taken up 4 acres or something. You know, so how and where that would be. And of course, all the particulars about it would be important. But I think it is going to take a grassroots movement to get Trenton to move better and further on this. And I follow it pretty closely. So I look forward to more information, going and looking at what's going on in Cranberry. I didn't know there was one there. But I look forward to just having more discussion. I'm definitely a supporter.
Here. Dimitri, use your mic, please.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who came here tonight for showing up and expressing their experiences. Thank you all for coming. Of course, the state of New Jersey never makes anything easy, because if they would have made it easy, they would have just said, well, this is now state law and we've done it. You know, now they push it down to the municipalities and say, well, you guys deal with it. So I kind of say that tongue in cheek because it, you know, if we was so supportive, why isn't it going that route? Now, that's, I guess, a political question. But I guess we're stuck with the fact that individual municipalities do have to deal with it. Well, one thing I do know is that I know a lot of people have chronic pain, and it's a serious illness. And so I don't want to take away anything that would alleviate the suffering this pain causes, and for people who are affected with this. Interestingly, I think Europe, especially England, has done a lot more studies
about the medicinal use of marijuana and its actual active ingredients. There's actually done quite a few randomized double-blind placebo trials, and it does seem to actually show that yes, it is effective. So, you know, I'm not against saying no to this. I think this should be an avenue we should pursue. But I can also honestly say that as to the impact of Hightstown, as to how it would happen, how it would go about it, I personally would need more information, and I really would welcome a type of a presentation that somebody can give on this. Somebody who's more educated than myself, somebody who's done this. I definitely see it from, I appreciate, like I said, all of you coming in from like decades of personalized viewpoints, but I would also appreciate what are the effects, what has the experience about things like that. So, more of a formal presentation. I think at the end of the day, like I said, if it helps, I'm on board that ultimately, it's what am I to say? What am I to say? What somebody does makes them feel better. How can I say to that? So I'd say yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, council. It seems like we need more information. I can pursue that presentation. I think what's happened there because of the wave that was going through Trenton might have put people on the edge because it was a go, go, go. He was going to come here, and all of a sudden it fell apart. And also Trent had a discussion on it. I know that the owner of the property is very interested in selling. Find it very difficult to pay the taxes and the water and all that in Hightstown because business isn't that great. Raises flowers and does a great job on it. He really got some beautiful, beautiful product. But the overhead keeps going up. The price of flowers can't go up. But if we are really interested in pursuing this into town, find out more about it, like the impact on small communities, the impact on how close together they got to be as far as the state goes. I do believe everything they say about it helping, and if it does help, fine. But if you want to go down that road, and I think we should come up with some kind of ordinance or something that says that we would allow medical purpose. I don't know how that would work. I mean, I don't know what other communities do.
Right back to it. What you basically do is do a resolution of support for a medical cannabis facility. And you have that resolution in place, and then if somebody chooses to come to your town and purchase a piece of property and open a dispensary, they know that that's one of the towns they can go to.
I see.
Okay, you're basically putting it out there that Hightstown is willing to receive this type of facility. We did a resolution of support, and you're basically letting the applicants to the state know that Hightstown would welcome that type of facility to their town. That's the first step that I've noticed. And Fred can elaborate.
Rosetto, you agree with
Better than I.
Huh?
I would agree with that.
Council, you want to put that?
Can I ask a
Yes,
question?
sir. Please do.
So, again, not knowing, having any concept of how these facilities operate, what they look like, and how much space they take, or different variations of it, I would think before we do a resolution saying that we would allow this type of facilities, wouldn't you think we would want some zoning in place, because there are probably definite areas that we wouldn't want, for whatever reason, part of town, maybe a minimum property size or location or whatever.
That
Can
would
you
be
do a
the
resolution
resolution.
like this without the zoning that sort of regulates this type of facility?
I think that's certainly a good idea. I don't know that the towns where they're currently existing have changed their zoning, or whether the dispensaries, for instance, have gone in under the auspices of retail and commercial because they are considered to be akin to pharmacies, and the cultivation and manufacturing more under light industrial zoning. But taking a look at the different zoning districts in town and making a real, concerted determination as to where you feel most appropriately would be best to be located for any particular applicant, I think that would be advantageous to the town. So I would recommend that you consider that. And I do agree that some towns, like having indicated, not just on the resolution, indicating that they're amenable to applicants, because the state, as part of the application process, has been asking for a letter of support from the towns to go along with the application. And, that resolution is like the support that the applicants have been showing to the state that they have the okay from the site town, essentially the preliminary approval that they would welcome a facility like that in the town.
I did, regarding zoning, whether I answered your question, I spoke to Woodbridge, Cranberry, and it seems where these facilities went were either industrial or commercial zoning. If a pharmacy or a doctor's office fits into the zoning, then these dispensaries should. That's
what
the
they,
basic.
that's what they did, but I think we need to make that
That's-
determination for ourselves.
Right, I'm just giving you, I've researched some others, so I have information for you, trying to bring it.
And I would just reiterate it once again, I mean,
It's working.
working, right? Everybody can hear me?
No, put it to your mouth, with your foot away from it.
Yeah. Better? Yeah, yes. Okay, thank you. I would just reiterate once again, I mean, that would be the step, the ordinance or the resolution or whatever, but I would still like to have a presentation so I can learn more about it, what the impacts would be. Just for my own.
Try to have the gentleman that was looking at Kaminsky's property here today. Kaminsky was kind of warned that he wasn't going to be here. The guy never called me. I reached out to people that had actually reached out to me through email for this type of facility, and none of them were the right person. So we were trying to get.
But to me, the issue is not Kaminsky or not.
It's in
No,
general.
it's the
It's the buyer.
It's the buyer, and that's who we were trying to get in here for a presentation, but he did not respond.
And we'll pursue that further.
We are making an attempt to get somebody in, yes.
We'll pursue that further. But the big question is, do we want to go down this road, or do we want to get more information? I guess more information is the answer, right? Everybody wants more information, so we will get more information.
And if I could just give you information as to where the 6 currently existing alternative treatment centers are located. Obviously, we talked about Cranberry, but also Woodbridge, Montclair, Egg Harbor Township, Secaucus, and Belmar in the southern part of the state, BELLMAWR, New Jersey.
Thank you for that. And I would just have one other question as well, which I forgot to ask, but today everything's online too. Can you order from another state that it gets sent? That's not allowed.
Federal government does not.
I'm standing back here, I can answer just about every question.
Every
guy
question.
just throwing
We
across
know
the
the
board
answer.
at it and save you guys a lot of time. I know I'm not a professional in some of the situations, but we've been to tons of council meetings, and what you folks are discussing tonight is so familiar to us. Of course. The problems with zoning.
Okay.
Thank you.
I understand what you're doing, but we have to go down this road.
2013.
We will.
In response,
See, that's what I'm talking about, right there.
We will partner with you now.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We will pursue, Debbie, you and I, we will call, I'll talk to Mr. Kaminsky about the name of the guy and call him. Actually, he's working through an attorney again, so, you know how it goes, it's crazy, but we'll pursue it. get you more information, or we'll get a presentation here. It's one thing to sit up here and just say, no, I'm not interested, period, and then we'll just say, don't, well, we're not saying that, we want more information, so we'll do that, okay? That's it.
Can I direct you to a place where you get more information? We'll get that to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, next we're gonna go to mayor and council and administrative reports. And what this is, for those that don't attend this meeting all the time, is each one of us gets to talk about something. About the comments in the town, the meeting, whatever. Susan, we're gonna start with you. Go ahead. Yeah. Connor would like to go first.
So I just wanted to talk about the environmental commission meeting that I attended last week, as Board of Health isn't meeting until next week. For the environmental commission, they've been very busy in terms of plans for ordinances and ideas. The first ordinance that they had started doing research on was the stormwater management ordinance. So we're working on, the environmental commission is working on new language for that ordinance. The next is the tree ordinance. It's a full-blown new tree ordinance that talks about essentially removal of trees in town and potentially monies that would be put into a fund, a tree fund, for people who wanted to take down trees on their own property or plant new ones. And then they also want to make sure that the new borough facility is up to the latest codes. They specifically asked for LEED certification. And they also thought on bigger projects in the borough, we should contemplate hiring an environmental engineer, like on a consulting basis, on sometimes the stuff that's out of the scope of work that Carmel and Roberts engineering firm does, and for projects that require a little more detail-oriented things that Carmel's not familiar with. And then the last thing was, Netherlands has a subcommittee within their community, and they're called the Senior Advocates for Justice. And it's the environmental's portion that or the environmental committee representative that has this Dream for America. And I thought it was interesting because it's kind of sweet, because they have time now to contemplate on everything, looking forward, but also looking ahead for their grandchildren. And it just talks about, and they sent it to, I think, the president's office, and then they sent it to Governor Murphy's office. I think they should send it to the legislators too. And it just talks about that they want an America that's, a healthy population, a more just population, educated, better national security, better gun control legislation. And I just wanted to let council know that there's an organization that's very, interested in becoming more involved at Meadow Lakes. And I'll pass this around to anybody who wants to see it.
Susan?
Thanks for letting me go first.
Okay, let me go first. I'll be done in 1 second.
Use the mic.
Just a reminder, the triathlon is this coming Sunday. We first have a meeting at Parks and Rec this Thursday where we'll be stuffing bags and getting things ready. So I don't have a count yet as to how many people have signed up. Next meeting, obviously we'll give a final count and an approximate value as to how much we put in. Next Friday, the 14th, is our 4th and last Fun Friday of the season. If you haven't been out yet, please come. This event has been bringing in a lot of people. fun. I really want to see everybody. Thank you.
I have nothing to report. I'll have my reports next meeting.
That'll work. Dimitri?
Okay. Well, first of all, Mr. Seraphin, welcome. You left?
Yeah, you gotta go home.
Well, for the record, welcome to the cat that's back, so it's on the record. Just want to, well, what's happening? HBC, we received all the banners, all the polls that the committee put together were approved, the numbers were approved. So it's all ready to go. And Debbie was asked by the chairperson, chairwoman, mayor, to ask Public Works to start putting them up, and Kenny said he will start putting them up in between time when he has time. They have a bucket truck, so luckily that will make life a lot easier. And they will be wearing, from what I understand, they will be wearing hard hats, so OSHA will be covered. So that's a terrific news. So finally, after how long?
A long time.
A year, 2 years almost.
Yep.
You know, we got it done. So really, it's terrific. Great job. And who said government works fast? 2 years. Keith, I think your idea of a hybrid vehicle is very interesting. You know, they do, police cars especially do idle quite a bit. You know, I don't know much about, once again, I have no problem admitting I don't know much about hybrid cars. I like my V8 personally. But you know, if it can save the town money, and if they can still chase the bad guys, and there's not too much downsides in charging and the whole thing, I don't know, you know, I mean, it might be worth looking into. I don't know if it's really better for the environment per se, and once again, I don't know. I heard that the batteries are bad, obviously the charging still has to, gotta get energy from somewhere. So I just don't know enough about that, but I think it's good to get that discussion going. Doug, I actually do try to get through people's questions one by one. When people are up there, it's difficult. Well, it kind of, you know, it's just never been done that council answers them. But I try to go through the list to answer it. So hopefully, let me try to touch on a couple of things. The Water Act, I think that was answered. The question, we are in compliance, as Debbie, the administrator, so kindly put it. And we have it until April 2019.
Yes, sir.
Get that done. The bicycles on the sidewalk. Yeah, it's always been a law that you can't ride a bicycle on the sidewalk, or at least as long as I know. And the issue has always been one of enforcement. It seems now that the issue has always been one of enforcement because I guess a lot of the streets are county roads, and county does not allow us to put up signage. That's from my understanding. I see Councilor shaking his head no, but I think we need some kind of signage, and I think what's been talked about is that businesses can put up no bicycles or something like that. So that's a way around the law. That's at least my understanding. So I think we are working on that. Parking signs, good question. I don't know. Are the parking signs going to go up with the change in?
Yes. Yeah, they've come in, you're talking about the parking, directional parking.
And yeah, the difference
They've come
in
in,
time.
and Kenny's worked with Carmella to make sure that they're going to be accurately placed, but we have to call in for utilities and all that. It's not like we can just go and stick a post in the ground.
And then on
There
Railroad
are
Avenue.
preliminary work that Public Works was doing to prepare them to install them.
And then on Railroad Avenue, where you can park after 6 o'clock, I believe that will be marked as well.
What do are you talking about?
Well, we're, right now it's parking by
Where it
permit
says
only.
parking, yeah, but it gives the hours.
Not that I see.
That's because you can't read it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
Yeah, I believe they were added, either that or they're going to be added if they're not added yet. I'll have to ride through the lot and take a look at where,
Yeah,
what
I-
Ken has done.
I haven't seen it, so just put that way. There was a talk about the stop sign at the school that is gone through. This came from the police. This came directly, I believe, from the police. That there was a safety issue, so I think, but once that's brought up, I think council has to act, especially if it's in the safety of the kids. But there a 30-day warning program, I would hope that the police are fair and judicious in their monitoring and stopping and what they do. But people driving down the streets, they should see if a stop sign shows up. They should see a stop sign. You should be aware of your surroundings when you're driving. I would hope so. Traffic study, I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea, but we do a traffic study for everything. I can hear other residents saying, well, you're wasting money. So, that can be argued both ways. OSHA, I wasn't quite sure if the issue was the truck being parked, and I don't know if that's illegal for the truck to be parked there, or the hat. So the question is, yeah, can a truck park there? If no, then the truck shouldn't be parked there. Secondarily, if a contractor is working on a house, can the borough get in trouble if they are not following OSHA regulations? I don't know.
I don't believe so, but I do have that in my notes to check.
Or is that the homeowner / contractor's obligation to look into? So that would, be good to get an answer on that as well. So, and that, I think that covers it all, and if I left anything out, I do apologize. But that's it.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you.
Pass the mic down, please.
I was holding on to it.
No, I only have to report that I'm going to a water sewer meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Finally.
Yep.
It was canceled last week, right? And that's all I have. I want to thank Dimitri for handling all those answers.
Yes.
For all of us. And that'll be a trend.
Thank you, Danny. Administrator, have anything for us?
Just want to announce that our Board of Health meeting, the firehouse obviously appears overbooked this fall, so we moved the Board of Health meeting to the borough basement because we have nowhere else to have it. So I just want to make everybody aware that Board of Health meeting will not be in this building on the 12th. And also that the meeting that will be held here on the 12th is not a borough event. So we just want to make the public aware of that. I'm getting calls every day. What is this meeting? Is it a borough council meeting? I'm just announcing it now. It is not a borough event. It is a resident event. And for those that asked for the police chief to be at a meeting, he was at the last meeting. It's just the people that are asking were not. But he does come to meetings. And I think that's it. Oh, Safe Routes to School, we're still looking for support letters from residents. I've only received 3. There's some in the back of the room. If you want to file a support letter, you can sign it and put your address on it and leave it for me, and I'll make sure that it goes in with the grant application. But it's for the Dutch Neck Road Safe Routes to School project.
Yeah, the support letters are very, very critical. They do work, and they do put an emphasis on priority, which one comes first. Borough Clerk. I know you're away for a little while.
I know, I was away last week, I just got
And I
back.
know you
today.
miss your daughter, but it's time to go to work.
The Harvest Fair, registration is closed, we're meeting in 2 weeks from tomorrow. Registration is closed, but all the food applications are still kind of coming in, they're registered, so we're just getting ready for that. And they're just doing the final stuff on that.
pretty much it,
It's
huh?
busy, but,
Dog license, marriage licenses.
yeah, always marriage licenses, and it's always busy, it's nothing to report, just residents coming in and just asking general questions, bulk stickers, people really been cleaning out their garages.
Thank you very much. Monica?
We only have one thing. Our tax sale is scheduled for October 12th. We do not have set time yet, but we will have people on.
Tax sale?
Yes. So this is the 2017.
And how are we doing with tax collection?
I did not check the percentage. We actually are working on getting the delinquent notices out by the end of this week. Since the last day to pay was on the 31st.
So we're doing. George?
Yeah, I actually have something this time.
Everybody knows George CFO.
Last meeting, we passed several resolutions regarding the upcoming bond sale, bonding ordinances, and setting the principal payment schedules. We have the bond sale scheduled for next Tuesday, when we take the bids. As part of
Anybody
that,
would lose change next Tuesday. You could buy some bonds.
as part of that, we had we did a presentation to Moody's Investor Service regarding our credit rating. We reaffirmed our current rating that we've had. And, just, a couple of things, they went through a lot of things. Debbie, A1, the Borough Administrator participated, myself, Monica, our bond counsel, the auditor, financial advisor. Financial advisor put together a detailed presentation, which I believe council has seen, about different things with the borough, finances, upcoming projects, those types of things. Some demographic information. And so, like I said, they reaffirmed it. They said a couple things. I mean, one of the lines they have here is the financial position is strong and stable and is a strength of the borough. So, I mean, I know a lot of people think that we're going out of business or something, but the borough is, in very good financial shape. Having the new development was a very encouraging, with the Rug Mill project, that's something, that was definitely a positive for us, a couple of things, we haven't had the growth in past years, but we do have some things to look forward to in the future going forward. They always will make a comment about debt, but a lot of our debt is covered by water sewer revenues, so that's actually pretty good. It's nothing as far as the tax burden. And also, whenever they do a debt calculation, they throw pension costs and all kinds of crazy actuarial, calculations. So, I mean, every town is going to have some, debt issues. But overall, I thought it was a pretty positive, credit analysis that we got from Moody's, and reaffirmed it, and we're ready to go for next week with our bond sale.
All plus.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's what we're working on.
That was enough, wasn't it?
Yes.
How we do with our auditors?
They're just about, they're done with the field work, and we're putting together finishing touches on the report.
So they're no longer in the office, now they use the telephone, right?
Yes, yeah. And the computer, email.
Email.
Yes.
That was such a long process,
Yeah, but it was I felt a very thorough process, though.
It was thorough.
That's great, so.
Mr. Raffetto, I appreciate your help tonight, keep me on the straight and narrow. You have anything else for us?
Well, as you may have seen from the weekly update from the administrator, we were dealing with a little bit of a crisis at the end of last week, dealing with the easement that the borough holds to get to the water tower, because the neighboring property owner was not being cooperative. That has all been worked out. So.
It's all been worked out,
Yes.
and everybody is happy.
Yes, she was contesting whether there was in fact an easement. We were able to locate that there was an easement that was recorded. We sent a copy to her and her attorney. Everything is common.
That easement was for anybody that had to get on the water tower, right?
For the benefit of the borough, to access the water tower, and for the borough and our agents to access the water tower for borough purposes.
That worked well. And you sent them a bill too, right? All that work?
Wish we could, huh? I'm a little upset about the police, and I will talk to the chief myself. I don't know how to say this as far as homeless alcohol, drunkenness. There is no law about being homeless. There is no law about being drunk in the public. If you're drunk in public, it's one thing. If you're drunk and disorderly, it's another. If you, there's a fine line between what you can do and what you can't do. I've been over with the chief a few times, especially after Scott brought it forward a few meetings ago. It's very touchy. This fellow that we were talking about, he was arrested once. He went to court. He was fined, and of course he had no money, so we had to put him in jail, and he had to work his time off in jail. And we had to take him to jail. We had to pick him up from jail. We had to bring him back to town. It's a crazy situation that the law does not address. So I guess he has as many rights as we all do.
So do you accept my invitation and
The
request?
stop signs at the school was, that was the school working with the police department. They seen a situation that was gradually getting worse with the new construction around the school that's going on now. And the traffic pattern that they had, they said that they would like stop signs. And I said, with the chief, we discussed it, and it said, we do not have jurisdiction on that property. The ordinance doesn't even cover those signs unless, so we had to put it together so that we did have jurisdiction and the school worked with us on those. As far as the guy without wearing hard hats on the job, I'm sure that's a contractor working with his employees, and it's, I don't think that's a borough problem at all. I don't think there's a lawsuit there if he falls off the roof or something like that. As far as the medical marijuana, I think we're going in the right direction. Dimitri, you covered a lot. Thank you very much.
I did forget.
Like I said earlier in the meeting, I welcomed Gene back. He went down a rough road. I seen him when he came home today. He came home, and he was a sore puppy, but he's okay. Sidewalks. Sidewalks have always been a concern of the borough. Some of these grants, like Carmelo was telling us, don't cover the sidewalks. But if you notice in any community that we put new sidewalks, new curbs, dress it all up, then people start working on their houses more. And it just, the whole thing just snowballs into what it's supposed to be. It all started, the first time I ever noticed it was on South Street. When we put in curbs, sidewalks, we put in new water main, we put in connections to the houses. And then we even ran, we had a plumber that was working on the job who went to each house and asked if they wanted to connect the house separately at a cost to the homeowner while everything was open. It worked out very well. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to speak about. There's some things that are going on in the borough right now that are like the mill property, phase 1, going to be memorialized next Monday. It's a big day in the borough of Hightstown. Nobody even mentioned it tonight, but that is a big time. That's the planning board voted on it now. It's going to be memorialized next Monday, and all system will be go. I think the question might pop up Monday night is when do you expect to break ground, and when do you plan on having it finished? There's some real important things going on. I'm just glad I'm part of it. All right, that's it. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councilman Montero. Second by Councilman Brewer. Now roll call. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are now adjourned.